Well, the big arrivals were Keith Lee making his debut in the company and getting the prestigious Keith Lee is All Elite graphic and his own shirt up on Pro Wrestling Tees. We're all set to go. And an appearance by Jay White, who took the Forbidden Key, put it into the Forbidden Keyhole, changed the lock, and in he walked. And immediately the sirens went off. There was a breaking and entering alarm. He went into the Forbidden Door and appeared, and also showing off a new shirt as well. That's what you always bring whenever you're breaking and entering. You have a shirt ready to go. Got to have your merch ready. So Jay White and Keith Lee appeared on a pretty packed edition of Dynamite, but those were our two appearances on tonight's show.
Going into this, I think it was certainly the most hyped up thing about this show. It was a show that didn't have a whole lot announced for an edition of Dynamite that usually has every match.
Probably the least way, of any Dynamites I can remember. I cannot remember an afternoon where so little had been announced. They had a few more announcements in the hour leading up to the show. But just the idea of CM Punk and Jon Moxley teaming up, and very unlike AEW to do sort of your old kind of Raw, do the segment off the top to set up a match for later. But also that's a match you can't really announce without some kind of storyline explanation as to why Punk would team with him.
I mean, they could do whatever they want. They could have shot something in the afternoon and played it later if they felt like promoting that match ahead of time. And it was certainly an interesting decision. The fact that Punk and Moxley were teaming together in and of itself, I think, is something that is very special. We've never seen it before. Two of the company's top stars teaming up against FTR. That in itself, I think, was worthy of a main event attraction if they wanted to promote it that way. But they chose to save it. And I think there's definitely something to be said about keeping your show spontaneous and, giving these surprises for the people who actually decide to tune in once in a while. Again, it's peculiar and unusual for them to do something like this, especially when they're, I think, so focused on ratings, perhaps right now. But I think once in a while, it's a great way to get your audience to tune in live because you never really know what to expect. But the hook for this show absolutely was the Forbidden Door arrivals, and the combination of both Jay White and Keith Lee. Do you think this was enough to satisfy an audience that had very high expectations? I would say going in.
I guess I'm sure you're going to have some who were just thinking for, you have to measure your expectations.
Shane McMahon.
Well, that's, if you're thinking like that, then you're setting yourself up for just an impossible delivery. I thought Keith Lee came off so tremendously well. I don't know how you could have been disappointed with the way he came out. This audience was fantastic tonight from the second the show went live, and they more than made that introduction feel that much bigger for Keith Lee. I thought Isaiah Cassidy was awesome in that match. I don't know how you could have been disappointed with Keith Lee and just coming in and feeling like such a big deal right out of the gate. Jay White, I mean, it's going to depend. I personally am intrigued to see more of Jay White. I think he's going to be more of a polarizing figure for some.
Hold on a second then. Do we know the extent of what the Jay White interaction is? Is it a one-off? Is what is this contractual status with New Japan Pro Wrestling right now?
I mean, what we know is that he's going to be on that Impact show next weekend in New Orleans. He's going to be on that Windy City Riot for the one in Chicago that New Japan Strong is doing. So it's not like he doesn't have future dates. But I mean, the way this was really set up was the idea of someone was coming through the Forbidden Door and shutting it behind them. So this is too deep of cryptic language for me to understand.
Was that comment in reference to Jay White, or was it in reference to Keith Lee?
Well, the Forbidden Door comment was specific for Jay White. That's how they introduced him tonight.
Okay, but last week Tony Khan's tweet about the wrestler being involved in the the Revolution match against Isaiah Cassidy was also the person attributed to a Forbidden Door. So
what's forbidden about a free agent coming to this company?
I mean, well, that is the question to me. Is Keith Lee exactly shutting any sort of forbidden doors when, I mean, he was already forbidden from entering the other door? He was cast out of the other door. I don't know. We're almost talking semantics here, but I mean, you are going to get this level of criticism when you throw out those terms, around. Tony Khan actually just tweeted out as we're recording this. He says, "I didn't secure Jay White until Sunday. I realized after the fact that Friday night I butchered my own definition of Forbidden Door in hyping tonight. I heard the fans' feedback and wanted to ensure that tonight was a special Dynamite for all. Thank you, everybody who watched. So he admits that he got his own definition of Forbidden Door wrong, realizing that Keith Lee wasn't necessarily passing through any forbidden doors. And so he decided as a make good to make sure people wouldn't be disappointed, got Jay White on Sunday just to appear for something like this.
I could guess that probably there is no other promoter that would go to that extent over the wording of his tweet.
Yeah, sure. Don't play with. Can we all just shut the door on the forbidden door? Like, come on, this is only going to get everybody in trouble. This term, but the Jay White thing is interesting. I mean, because White has been cutting promos on Adam Cole on his own, and if the deal didn't really come through on until Sunday, well, what exactly was going through White's mind? What was his intention by saying
this was not introduced as this was just some like quick idea and we're just doing it for some short-term thing? Like there was some story here introduced with Jay White. So like it certainly didn't feel like something that it's just some little Band-Aid because we had to fill in a hole here.
It's certainly a good attraction. Yeah.
And you have this relationship with New Japan, so it's like you have this option, so we can run with it.
So that means they can grab anybody from New Japan.
Listen, when they do that show, because Ishii is coming here for WrestleMania weekend, and then the Windy City Riot is not till 2 weeks later. Like I would think like that's he's going to be here for several weeks in the US. Like you would think you would want to bring Ishii back.
What about Will Ospreay?
I think you have to do it when it's right, though. It's like, is now the right time to bring a Will Ospreay in? And what would your idea be for him? Like, I would want to do that when you
Kenny. I mean, they're building that up on their own, but
then you should be pulling the trigger on that when it's time to do that. And I would save that for when the timing is right down the road.